Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live. Oh my gosh, it's that time of the year where you're like, I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is, but I'm here to farm, guys. Okay. Okay. So if you have any questions, just throw them in the YouTube live chat. Keep it farmer friendly. If you are watching us from YouTube because you can't get into the game, I apologize. We're working on it. It's the problem is that there are too many of you trying to get into the game, which is an amazing problem to have, but it is still a problem that we are taking seriously. So thank you for your patience. And let me bring up Luke.
Hey guys. Yeah, no, this is kind of crazy. It's funny because this is actually, I think, the most people we've ever had online in the game at
Literally.
once. Yeah. It seems like maybe you guys told a lot of your family over Christmas and the holidays about Pixels, so that's great. But yeah, this is literally the busiest we've ever been. Big spike in traffic, highest amount of DAU we've ever had yesterday. Looks like it's going to be higher again today. And yeah, during this event was the highest amount of concurrent users that we've ever had. So unexpected. But yeah, I appreciate all of you being patient with that. We're actually hitting like relatively decent numbers in terms of concurrent users now. I think this was about like 33,000 concurrent users playing the game, which is like,
I
you
just
compare that. Yeah.
laughed because this is like not an official big event. Like I decided to throw the event for you guys earlier because I know that this time is quite late for some of you. It's late for me. It's 11 p.m. So I know some of you guys in Asia, it's like insane. So I was like, okay, we'll just do like both hours. And it somehow blew up into the most users we ever had in game. So good problem to have, still a problem that we are taking seriously. So we really appreciate your patience.
Yeah, so sorry everyone about that. On our end, the Pixels team has been taking a little bit of like a step back just the last couple of days. We enjoyed the holidays. Even me personally, I took a few days away from Pixels, which has been amazing. To be completely honest, I am getting ready for the new year because it's gonna be so busy coming up. We have a lot coming up. We have our token launch, we have chapter 2, and we have basically like a new start at Pixels too. Yeah, I feel really lucky with where we're at right now and just the position that we're in. It's been a crazy last couple of months, and it's positioned us really well to do some even more interesting things than I had even thought. So yeah, I don't think this AMA we're going to spill like a ton of alpha or leaks or anything like that, but I do want to be here with all of you guys. I want to answer your questions. And yeah, next week we're going to start to kick off some of the really fun stuff. If you guys have been following along, you know that we have our next big event, the Play the Airdrop, coming up. It's going to start around like January 3rd or 4th is the ideal date. Team is like just now coming back, getting online, getting ready for all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we fingers crossed that should be the date that we go on. And then yeah, we're going to be running that for like 2 to 3 weeks. It's going to be like a nice, fun little promotion for you guys. You guys are also going to get to see your like allocations from previous Play the Airdrop as well too. And then yeah, Pixel is not too far away. So it's crazy. It's really exciting for us. And it's going to be a lot of work for the next 2 months. It's token season right now. Like there's tons of people dropping tokens. It's yeah, really busy time for a lot of people. But yeah, we feel really lucky with where we're positioned at now. And we get to kind of move on to the next stages. So yeah, you guys will learn more and more information on that in the coming weeks. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the back end. It's super fun. And I can't spill or leak any of that. So I'm really sorry if that's what you were hoping for today. But just note that it's happening. We're moving on to the next stages. Some of you have been waiting patiently for a very long time, and it's finally coming and it's here. So yeah, I guess maybe I would love to like, if anybody has some questions over like the higher level stuff, maybe I can dig into some of that today. It's interesting because we're seeing some tokens launch now. Some are going kind of well. Some aren't. I have some thoughts on the space in general. I have some thoughts on like how we're doing, like what our approaches are, like the things that we can do to make sure we don't have the same mistakes that maybe other people are making. Can dig into like some more of that stuff that we are seeing on our end too. But yeah, I guess the whole point of this day made today is, even though it's the holiday season, we want to be here with you guys. We have a lot of stuff coming up in January, even more stuff coming up in February. So yeah, we're here and we're ready, and it's about to be a push.
Oh yeah. Okay, some people are saying I'm a bit laggy. I'm
You are a
sorry.
bit.
I'm sorry. I'm in I don't know. I don't think the Wi-Fi where I am is working very well. I'll see what I can do about it, but I apologize. Okay, you just want to dive into some questions then?
Yeah. Yep. Here, I'm starring some right now. Do you have some started as well?
I've been starring some as we went.
Oh, interesting. Are we going to hear some news on how the guild system works today? It's interesting because I thought we kind of laid down exactly how the guild system works. And if you guys have any questions on that, I'm sure we can answer some more stuff about that. But yeah, we kind of laid out the whole roadmap of what guilds are going to be like. They do integrate into Chapter 2 a lot. So if you guys have been following our AMAs and learning more about what we have planned for Chapter 2, they play a key part in that. Basically, for Chapter 2, what we're doing is we're changing a lot of the game mechanics that you guys interact with now. Right now, for every new player that comes into the game, they generate more resources in the game. Basically, it's kind of inflationary how resource generation works now too. And we're gonna make some changes where it will still be inflationary, but resource generation will change drastically. Where instead of there being the system where for every new player, new resources are generated, resource generation will be tied to land more tightly. What we're doing is we're introducing tiering of resources. So there'll be like tier 1 resources, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6. And we are basically making the first couple tiers of resources available to the free to play land, the specs that a lot of you guys use. So if you are a free to play user, you don't have any NFT land, then you can still farm these initial resources on the spec. And it gives you more of a reason to go back to your spec because that's actually the only places that you can get these resources. Now, the next set of resources will only be available on the varying tiers of the farmland. And some changes that we're making that will make this drastically different than how you guys interact with the game is that plots of soil will only be able to be used one at a time. So basically, if you plant something on a plot of soil, somebody else might be able to farm it, or like they might be able to water it for you. Basically, like groups will have to work together to farm crops, and this is a big change, a really, really big change. Basically, what this means is that if you don't own a farmland, you're gonna have to work with somebody who does to get these types of resources. And what we expect to see is we expect to see guilds play a large part in the distribution of resources. We expect to see guilds kind of form around actual farmland. So there's guilds that kind of already exist in the game right now, right? There's social guilds, or there's even guilds that existed that were kind of more involved in like the scholarship side of things, right? What we kind of expect to see is like really farmland ownership turns into a form of being a guild as well too. I have this farmland and this farmland is a guild now. And I want to kind of have people come onto my farm. I want to share the resources with them. I want to split resources in like a way that I see fit. We like the idea of having it be kind of self-governing. Whoever owns or starts the guild can decide what rules they want to place on it. And then what we're doing is, we're adding in socialify to guilds. So that's gonna be the really interesting thing. Where if you start a guild, basically to get into a guild, it's paid. You can't join the guild for free unless somebody gives you a guild membership for free. What we'll likely do is we'll probably give the first like 15 to like 20 memberships to the guild creator for free or for like a very, very cheap price. And then they can give them out as they see fit. We might even increase that number a little bit. It's just some stuff that we'll have to start to play with slightly. But then what will happen is these guilds will have what we call memberships. You have to purchase a membership, and the membership price increases on a bonding curve. So basically, the more guild members there are in a guild, the higher the guild membership price is. Now, the interesting thing about bonding curves is you can sell these memberships back. So if you're done being in the guild, you can sell this membership back to the guild, and you'll actually get about like 90% of the funds that are on the bonding curve back. And what's interesting is like I would go take a look at some products like FriendTech. I would go take a look at some products like Stars Arena to see how it really works. But basically, it adds in this really interesting new social buy mechanic that we saw worked a little bit in some other spaces in Web3. And it'll introduce some pretty interesting play there. You'll be able to be a member of multiple guilds if you want. But how it'll work inside of the guild is that you will need to basically get permissions from the guild owner or from the guild leadership. So owning a guild membership doesn't necessarily mean that you get full access to guild resources, to guild permissions, all of that too. And you can actually only have one active membership at a time as well. So there's a cool set of features I'll be introducing there. Daryl something Ron. Do you know who I'm talking about, Heidi? We retweeted his tweet the other day. He wrote a really good thread on what that kind of looks like in our system. Yeah, if we could share that, that would be cool.
Yeah, let me find it.
Yeah, if you could pull that up and maybe share that one. But yeah, he got it. He basically like completely outlined what exactly we're doing with guilds, what they're going to look like, the new types of gameplay it unlocks. We're extremely excited about what this looks like. It's going to be a bit of tweaking and adjusting, but that's kind of the fun of Pixels, right? So a lot of people who have been playing Pixels for a long time, like the ones who have been here for 2 years now, they know this is kind of how we operate. We've changed the game drastically several times now. And that's kind of the whole point of being here with us. What we like to say is that we don't really know what's going to work in Web3 gaming, what will and what won't, at least. And the only way to actually figure out what will work is by trying a lot of stuff. So for the last year, we've had a live game, and this is kind of how the game has looked for the last year. What we've learned is like a few new things now too. Like we've been doing a lot of economics over the last year and like, balancing live ops, that kind of stuff. And these changes to our systems are things that we know are pretty necessary in order to produce like more sustainable game economics. I'm not even talking about economics, but just like literally game economics are super helpful here. So yeah, all this combined with guilds, with chapter 2, it's going to be leading to some really interesting gameplay that really could only exist in Web3. And yeah, you guys are going to have to help us make it better. Maybe the first pass of it won't be completely polished or completely right, but I hope you guys build some trust with us at this point, that we are a team that builds and iterates really quickly. We're going to listen to your feedback. You're going to help us make the game better and better. And yeah. So, this is the tweet that
I don't know if you wanted me to like actually go through it, but I did post the link, and of course it's gotten lost. One sec, let me post it again. So you guys can go check it out if you want. But yeah.
Yeah, so key point that he's making here, and like that I want to emphasize too, is like this first part of the guild system that we released with the waitlist, that is not it at all. It's just a very beginning stage. We want to get out like guild self-organization, and we want you guys to start to like work towards building out some of the guild systems at first. When we actually launch them, it's going to be crazy. And yeah, we've been holding off launching guilds until we have the Pixel token out. You're going to be able to buy guild memberships in the Pixel token. So that's going to be one of the early primary syncs of the Pixel token. And something that we're really excited about. I think it's going to get a good amount of traction and attention when we first launch it. And it's funny because there's finally people that are waking up to what we're building here at Pixels. When we launch this, I think the whole space is going to definitely see. So it's going to be a very exciting feature. We'll see what it actually ends up doing. But yeah, the other interesting part of the guild system too, and note this, is that I have to be careful about how I say stuff, but there's almost a revenue share aspect to it. Basically, how the bonding curve works is 90% of the guild membership will be locked away, but then 5% of the guild membership price for each person that pays is sent to the guild owner or the guild manager, and 5% is sent to us, which we'll just burn, or not burn, but like you'll see when we have our tokenomics out. There's some cool stuff that we're doing there. Can't leak any of that. But yeah, basically it'll get sent to us. And we'll do some cool stuff with that. So yeah, take a look at this thread. It outlines a lot about what we do with guilds here. And yeah, that's going to be really fun.
Okay, cool. All right. I quickly bought more data on my phone and I'm, what's it called? Hotspotting. So hopefully I'm not as laggy.
Yeah, that's kind of...
I had like 1 gigabyte left, so I had to buy more, but we're good. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, VIP is adjusting once a week. We'll adjust it on Friday. Yeah, maybe we'll try to get it done a bit sooner. But we're trying to be a bit consistent with when we adjust it. So expect it to change on Friday. Yeah, the Ronin token keeps going up. VIP price keeps coming down. It's crazy. I think at one point, 3 months of VIP was like 70 Ronin, and now it's what, like
Like,
17?
yeah, well, I think it's 21 right now, but it needs to
Yeah,
come
well, it
down.
should be about like 17 now, a bit
Yeah,
less maybe.
yeah,
Yeah, the strength of that token's been really interesting, seeing the Ronin ecosystem grow. I am so excited about the Ronin ecosystem. I am so bullish on like the future of it. And yeah, it's been cool to see like more and more people recognize what Ronin actually has to offer when it comes to infrastructure, tooling, the actual community support. Really, Pixels is what it is right now because of Ronin, and really because of Ronin. So big shout out to what Ronin is. Big shout out to all the people who are trying out Pixels because of Ronin.
for sure. Okay, wait, I find this funny. No, absolutely not. No. I don't know how this would really work, but we explained this when we started. This is the most traffic we've really seen all at once, and extremely unexpected as we do these AMAs with this energy booster every single week. So we weren't really expecting to have 33,000 people log in at the same time. Also, that's just the people that successfully logged in. So I don't know how many more we're trying to get in. But we absolutely did not sabotage the game just to get more views on our AMAs. But anyways, hilarious comment. All right, back to regular programming. Okay, let's see. What do we need to do to get the airdrop?
Yeah, so there's basically two things. One, we ran a promotion about a year ago. We made a promise to these people that we were going to give top 20,000 an airdrop. And now, a year later, we have a pixel token coming, and those people we promised it to will be getting the airdrop promised. What we did a year and a half ago, or about a year ago, is if you guys hadn't followed, was we ran what we called the play the airdrop at the time. It was a really unique thing at the time. We were the first people to do this. Pixels coined the term play the airdrop. And it's cool to see it get so popular now. But it's basically how Pixels got a lot of attention about a year ago. And, we set this meta. We basically gamified the whole system. You had to earn these badges. You had to refer people. You had to work your way up a leaderboard. It was a bit intense. Like some people tried really, really hard at it. And yeah, it took like about 2 months of gameplay. The people that ended up making the top 20,000, I think like if you were at the top 20,000, you probably played like 4 to 5 days if you were grinding. So
I got it.
yeah, note that when people are like all this kind of stuff. You guys played. We appreciate the play, but a lot of you played like 4 to 5 days that hadn't touched the game in a long time either. So you have to recognize that as well, right? People that were at the top of the leaderboard, they grinded. If you're at like 20,000, you probably played like 3 to 4 days. And again, very appreciated. You guys helped us grow top of funnel, all this kind of stuff. So you're getting your airdrop. And then what we're doing now is we're running a second season of that. We're going to be running it for about 2 to 3 weeks. And in order to participate in this one, we want to make it accessible to new players. Basically, what you'll do is you'll have to like compete in a few different challenges. And there will be a bit of a leaderboard element as well too. There will be a few different things you can do to earn points. It's gonna be kind of similar to like the Mochaverse stuff, but not quite the same as well. It's a bit unique, and then it's a bit tied to some other challenges. Basically, there's gonna be like tasks that you have to do every couple of days. You'll earn points. The points will get you up on the leaderboard and will be airdropping to the top X amount of players in this play the airdrop leaderboard. The whole point is we don't want it to be too intense. When we ran the last play the airdrop, we ran it in a way where people were staying up like 24/7. They were like breaking mouses. Yeah, this person probably went through like several mouses. They probably have carpal tunnel. The game was really different back then. Basically, it was just farming scarrets and a few other crops. There was no energy at the time either, or it worked a bit differently. There was something different about energy where people could basically go 24/7. I think we had messed up the balance in the early days where it's like if you ate a scarret, you could keep going. So yeah, basically people could just play 24/7 back then.
You got seeds back, or was that a really long time ago?
Yeah, maybe a really long time ago. But yeah, basically we're running like one more season to play the airdrop, which will be really fun. It's just meant to give the people who like just now are starting to play Pixels a chance. So we have to decide how many people are going to make this one still. Truthfully, we're deciding in like the next like 4 to 5 days. But it's probably going to be about like 10,000 people that we do this airdrop to, is what I'm thinking. Maybe a bit less, maybe something like 5 to 7,500. The whole point is like probably not everyone's going to get it then, right? Just the most loyal users. We'll do a combination of a couple other things too. Like for example, if you own land, you'll probably get points in this leaderboard that we're adding on. This is a leak. There will be a reputation multiplier to the play the airdrop points in this one. So if you have a high reputation, I think we'll probably like divide it by 1,000 or something like that. But if you have like 1,000 reputation, you'll get like a 1x multiplier. If you have 2,000 reputation, you'll get like a 2x multiplier on your points. There might be a little bit of tweaking they have to do with the scores and points. Part of the reason that we do these points is so that we can adjust them slightly if we see different needs getting fit. Like for example, when we did the points the last time, what we were shooting for was it was about like 30% of the points we wanted to go to land, about like 40% to play, about like 30% to referrals. It was something like that. Maybe like 50% to play, I think. But yeah, we'll be tweaking this a little bit too. We just want to make it feel fair. So these points are a bit of a way that we can adjust as well. So if the reputation multiplier doesn't feel right, because maybe somebody has like 1,000,000 lands and then yeah, they get like 90% of the airdrop points. That's not what we want either, right? It has to feel a bit fair. It's like all 10,000 people in there. But yeah, we'll be playing with that. You guys will get like a pretty transparent view on what that looks like. And then you'll see what we are giving to the season 1 as well too. So yeah, that's coming next week. That's crazy to say. Next week, you'll start to see all this kind of stuff. And yeah, that'll run for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then next stages happen after that.
Okay, I lost the comment, but someone's asking about or claiming that the leaderboard in Mochaverse is wrong. So I don't think what you're saying is true. I don't think it's wrong. I think it updates every several hours. Luke, do you know how often it updates?
Yeah, it doesn't update in real time. It's funny because leaderboards are a lot more complex than people realize in terms of like tech and all of that. So yeah, it updates about every hour or so. It might be a little bit less, maybe every 5.
Oh, I thought it was longer than an hour.
Yeah, and then one thing to note about the Mochaverse leaderboard too is that we need to figure out something to do with tiebreakers. The team is making sure. I think what we're going to be doing is we'll do tiebreakers by time that you earn the points. So like the first people that get the Mocha Star should be at the top of the leaderboard, right? So if like there's a tie in number 1, it should go first person that got 18, second person that got 18, third person that got 18. We'll confirm that's the way that we're doing that within the next day or so. But yeah, that's how it should work.
Definitely complex. Okay. Someone just asking about tickets. So they're not redeemable right now, but they might be in the future. So if you want to go ahead and play mini games and farm some crops and get tickets, go for it. But there's no redemption at this time. Okay, let's see some other questions. I just have some good ones in here. When is the launch of the roadmap or light paper?
Yes, that one I have to debate on when we launch that. Truthfully, we have to debate how much we want to release publicly. We have an internal white paper that's done. It's very detailed now, too detailed to release publicly. But yeah, basically, I don't think this is going to launch until like actual TGE token generation events. So when we do that stuff, basically, which is soon. It's like quite soon, actually. Play the airdrop is going to run for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then that's the next stage after that. So yeah, expect that to be coming right after play the airdrop, basically. But then we might start to release some other stuff before that. It's interesting because light papers they're important. They're really good, but also they need to be able to change, and they need to be able to adjust. And yeah, part of our approach at Pixels is we like to iterate and we like to change things often. So that's part of what we need to focus on over the next 6 months as well. The truth is, there's a lot of experimentation that needs to be done in order to figure out how to actually make Web3 gaming work on our end. A lot of the things we want to be experimenting with is rewards distribution. How can we best allocate rewards to users to help ecosystem growth? Like, who are the best users to give rewards to? Who are the user personas that we want to be giving rewards to? How much of those rewards do we give out? All of this kind of stuff. We have a good idea of the things that we need to test and try, but the actual things that will work, we don't know until we actually try them out, right? So that's a bit of what this white paper that we have internally is about too. It's like, what are the things we need to try and test? What are the things that we know we have to measure to see if they'll work? And yeah, how do we know what's working, what's not working, basically? So yeah, we have a game plan of the next 6 months, basically. And the ecosystem rewards, you guys are gonna be a huge guinea pig on, to help us understand how to make Web3 gaming work and viable. But yeah, that's part of the issue with the white paper, right? It's kind of weird to say that we need to test and iterate in a white paper because the white paper is supposed to be the source of truth, right? But nobody knows what works in Web3 gaming still. That's kind of the reality too. So yeah, figuring out how to best communicate that in the white paper is interesting. I think what some people want to be seeing is tokenomics when it comes to emissions, investor split, all of that. That will definitely not release until basically last minute when it comes to like listings and things like that. So yeah, hold your breath on that one. But yeah, that's all figured out now internally.
Okay. What was another question I just saw? I don't know. There's so many good ones. Oh, this was one. If soils are now limited, would we be able to upgrade our specs to accommodate more soils?
Yeah, so there's going to be like a spec progression as well too. We'll see when both of these ship. And yeah, what we need to do internally too is kind of like sit down and make sure that we have all of this completely roadmapped and make sure that we have it as organized as possible. But yeah, that's the plan with chapter 2 basically. We just need to figure out like when things release. So that it might truthfully, we might release the first part without the spec progression first, release spec progression like a month later, dungeons like around that same time as well. But yeah, that's the whole concept. What we want to start to play with too, in addition to like all the ecosystem rewards, because the ecosystem rewards, we talked about the task board yesterday, is playing around with like berry generation and pixel generation that way. Same thing as like some of these mechanics, the amount of soil that you can place on land, which has a much greater effect on resource production than before because you can just move to different farms. So these are things that we'll start to play with and adjust. The Pixels team is probably going to lean conservative on all this stuff at first, and then we'll make it easier as we start to get more confident in that ability. The worst thing that we could do is like go too hard in one direction because that's going to lead to a lot of inflation and stuff you guys have already earned. So if we're more conservative at the very beginning, it's going to be a bit better, right? So yeah, expect a whole new progression around specs at some point. Basically be able to upgrade the spec, get more soil, things like that. Because yeah, if you just have 4 plots of soil on the spec, that is tight, right? That is not much. And that's not very fun. So we'll make sure that there's plenty to do on there.
Okay. Speaking of guilds, what happens to people who like to play alone and level up? Are you forced to join a guild to progress?
Nope, not at all. Yeah, so one, there'll be industries available in Terra Villa, or at least like in public places. So most of the stuff you want will be available in some aspect like that. But yeah, we think a lot about that user persona too. MMOs are interesting because there's more user personas than just like a typical game that you're building out, right? And all those journeys are really important. Some of you like the like guild aspects. Some of you like the social aspects. Some of you like the speculation aspects. Some of you like the whale aspect, just like feeling really rich in the game. And those are all actually really important parts of the game. Even people who are just like with that earn incentive too, that's something to note, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. And that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build for all of these personas. So it might be we might focus on one persona a little bit more at some point, and then shift focus back to the other persona. Like for a while, it was interesting because our landowners were not super happy because we were starting to build out the free to play aspect. And just because we were building around free to play users didn't mean that we didn't care about the landowners. It was just like we knew if we started to build a game that the free to play users enjoyed as well, it would make for a better game experience for everybody, including the landowners. So that's going to be a lot of our work over the next little bit too. Basically starting to build out for all these different types of user personas. I think one of the user personas that we have maybe not leaned into as much is the Web3 persona, which is interesting because we're a Web3 game, right? But there's a lot more that we could do there that would actually lean into some of the like, I won't say degen side, but there's more of that persona that we can start to pull in through some of these guild mechanics that we're interested in exploring. And maybe we decide and find out, oh, like we really need to focus more on these people who are just like role playing or having like a social or social game experience. But like this is one of the areas we want to start to experiment with at the bare minimum. And on that note too, yeah, that brings us into an interesting spot too. So yeah, what's interesting is Web3 was not very easy to build in over the last year. And Pixels is a very lean team. Pixels right now is 11 full-time, 12 full-time. I think since we added 2 more community members, it might be 13 full-time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so 13 full-time, 6 developers, and the rest are like, design, artists, things like that, community team. And it's a really lean, efficient team, which is amazing. But now it's actually probably time to start to expand team a little bit. And we're in the position where we can, which is great. So yeah, I am trying to figure that out. Basically, in the start of the new year, we'll start to figure out team expansion. I think it's finally the right time to build out basically 2 dev teams so that we can start to work on some bets in parallel. So basically, we can start to do like a bit of live ops, getting content out consistently, and not have that take away from dev team who's building out newer types of features. So yeah, expect a bit of a quicker pace even on our end as we build it out. It might take like a month or 2 to build team. Honestly, truthfully, like to get the right people, to get like team in place, to get them all ramped up, it's probably normally like 10 to 12 weeks lead time typically. But yeah, we'll be able to move a bit quicker once we get that set up, which is great. So yeah, we can focus a bit more on live ops, more on the content, and then also still continue to build out features that are a bit more interesting and different. And then one other note too, this is like totally off the cuff, but yeah, it might also put us in a position where we can start to experiment with like white labeling too. I've been really interested to see like what it would look like if we like added another casual game into the ecosystem and still use some of the tokens that we have now. Like what if there was like a Candy Crush style game that used Pixel or used Berry in some aspect? That's not a crazy bet for us to make because we have all the tooling and infrastructure to support and build Web3 games already. It might be an interesting play and bet. Now, this is like not confirmed. This is not.
Damn, guys.
Yeah, but that's generally what I've been thinking lately, where it's like, okay, we actually might have the resources to make a bet in that direction as well. And it might make sense just to see like, okay, if we were to start to add like another game in the ecosystem, would there be like noticeable lift in ecosystem retention and in like ecosystem burn or token utility as well? So if we can do that in a smart way, it might make sense.
Okay. Guys, please keep it farmer friendly in the chat. We know that the servers aren't letting everyone in at this time. We're really sorry. We're doing what we can. Let's just be nice to one another, okay? Okay.
Yeah, again, so this was the highest amount of users we've ever had on the servers at one time today. Over 33,000 concurrent users.
For just an AMA energy that we do every week. So yeah,
Yeah, 33,000 concurrent users, actually kind of a lot.
It's wild. Yeah. No, I pinged one of our developers and I was like, what's going on? And he's like, let me look. 33,000. I was like, got it. All right. Let's keep going here. Oh, okay. When is the next land mint?
So there won't be another land mint. Yeah, it's interesting because we tossed around that idea a long time ago. Like way back when we first minted farmland, like we had set it up in a way where it was like, even you can even see in the title, it's like pixels dash farmland. We were like, oh, what if we did like pixels dash mines, pixels dash all this kind of stuff? What we instead chose to focus on was actually building a game around just one set of land. There's still, I would not think it's the right call to do another land mint for years, to be honest. Maybe in the long run, if there's like millions of DAU, the game could support more things like that. But right now, it's the right idea just to focus on this one, and use this as like a gameplay stuff. We're still like completely revamping the game. If we had like other collections that we had to support around land, and we were doing this revamp of the game, we'd be in an impossible situation. So yeah, no more land mints. In terms of like other mints that you can expect, yeah, we're still figuring out like what we want to do with realms. It's an interesting feature. It's getting delayed a little bit, just because of like a few complexities that have been added. We might change the way that we're going to be doing it. Like for example, we were going to do it so you could upload all your own art. We might just make it so you can use like presets that we have right now. That would ease complexity a lot if we went that direction. But yeah, if we do that, then we can mint realms in like the pixel token. So that would be not land, but that would be basically like a sandbox that you get access to. If we do any more mints, it's going to be more like around the pets, around some other features like that too. These guild memberships that we have will be NFTs, or they might be fungible tokens actually, not NFTs. Like I think they'll be ERC 1155s. But yeah, that'll be another mint that we do. And then yeah, I saw somebody ask a really good question around yeah, like this kind of stuff too. So yeah, we'll start to incorporate some stuff like this as well, like the ability to buy extra bookmarks, similar to Clash of Clan builders. Yeah, so that's kind of the whole point around Pixel 2. Like we want to start to introduce more features like that. So what you might expect from a free-to-play game, except with a cryptocurrency that you also have like the play-to-earn side around too. There's a really new interesting model around that kind of stuff.
So someone made a AMA bingo card and I showed it to you earlier. They've almost got it. So they've almost got bingo. Anyways.
Are you guys
Okay.
honestly confident that your DAU will remain the same with Chapter 2 changes? I have a feeling it won't. It most likely will go down. Yeah, I mean, people have been saying, people have been not bullish on us for a while as well. It's funny because people always are like, oh, well, yeah, we'll wait to see this happens. We'll wait to see when this happens. We'll wait to see when this happens. Or like, you guys can't do that again. You guys can't do that again. What's that one meme? Oh, she's a one-hit wonder. Now what? I think Ice Spice said that. But I mean, yeah, we're just going to continue to build a game that we really believe in. We're going to continue to build out features that we really believe in. We look a lot at metrics like retention. We look a lot at metrics like customer acquisition. So it's interesting because games work a lot more like math than people expect, especially Web 2 games. They are a science when it comes to how they grow. And Web 2 games are a lot different than Web 3 games. What we're experimenting with and like what Pixels is really pushing the bounds in is around user acquisition and how Web 3 can change it. So what we look at are basically how do you acquire users through incentives? Like what are the ways that you can do that without paying for ads, without paying for user acquisition? Web3 offers like a really interesting paradigm to acquire new users through basically cutting out middlemen of user acquisition. And that would be basically us dumping millions of dollars into ads like Google or ads through Facebook. You guys see all these really, crappy Web 2 game ads all the time that don't match the Web 2 game at all. Like Royal Match, for example. If you ever see an ad for Royal Match, the ads literally don't look like Royal Match at all. It's just scummy, like terrible practice. But the reason why they do this is because like they've broken it down to a science. They basically calculate, okay, it costs me this much money to run an ad. I know an ad in this format will get this click-through rate. I know that this click-through rate will convert into like this person installing my app. I know if I get this many people installing my app, like, 3% of my users turn to paying users. My average lifetime value of a user is like $4. It costs like $3.59 to get this user. They like narrow it down that much. Now, what we do instead is we like to see, okay, what are the reward structures that we create, and what does that do to our retention, and what does that do to our user acquisition cost? We haven't even started to experiment with the really interesting stuff yet. What do you start to see in a game when you can do things like incentivized K factors, when you can do things like, incentivized sharing, incentivized referrals, all this kind of stuff. Pixels blew up a year ago in our play the airdrop, experimenting with this kind of stuff. We had a K factor of over 1 for a long time. And if you want to get into the technical stuff around this, it's really good. That's the stuff that we're most interested in. Growth is the stuff I obsess over more than anything else. I love the game stuff. I love thinking through this kind of stuff, but like my personal job at Pixels is thinking about growth like 24/7. And this is the kind of stuff that we think about. It's all the incentive structures. It's how does Web3 change the way that games can grow? Like this is the really interesting, like category breaking stuff that we think about. So if we can't keep DAU constant, then Web3 gaming is in a tough spot, or at least like our implementation of Web3 gaming. But that's kind of what our white paper goes into. And at least our internal one of like, are there systems in place that we can do to acquire new users, to retain these users? What's it need to be to keep that in? We haven't even released our token yet. So we have this amount of DAU and this amount of usage without our token. When we have the token, that's the exciting and fun part. And that's the stuff that we've been waiting for this whole time.
Okay, we've had some more comments on servers. So yeah, first of all, someone, I completely lost it, but they said like, you had 25,000 people last week. How was 33,000 unexpected? Well, last week, that was like an event that we worked with. It was the YGG one, I think, right? I lose track. There's so many. And we expected to have a high number of people at that. 25,000 was a lot, is a lot. We saw some server struggles there. We do this every week. Today was not expected because we did not expect the influx of traffic because we don't usually see that for these AMAs. But yeah, it is what it is. But then this is the follow-up question. 33K is nothing. How will you achieve mass adoption if the servers crash at only 33,000?
That's actually not enough. I just want to say, if you look at Steam concurrent users, that's 35th most played game in the world right now. Like
wild.
Yeah, that's pretty high. Can
you repeat that?
Yeah, if you look at Steam concurrent users right now, so users online in the same game at once, we would be at number 35 right now.
Let that sink in. Wild. But anyways, our team is constantly working on improving server infrastructure, efficiency, all of it. Thank you for your patience. Okay. I've been getting this question a lot, just like on the daily. Will the number of batteries be equal, blah, blah, blah? Are people getting a difference? It's totally random. It's totally random, luck of the draw. So good luck. Good luck out there. Do your best. There are a couple of extra batteries if you found the hot air balloon to go and find the other ornaments. There's a couple batteries floating in space up there. I think that's the only place you can get more. Right? Maybe. Anyways. Okay, back to upcoming plans. So the task board, which we talked about, I think that was last week or maybe the week before. Can you re-roll it? So I believe how it's designed right now, which this is subject to possibly change, is that it updates every 24 hours. So you won't be able to re-roll it, but you'll get a new set of tasks every 24 hours. That might change, but I think that's how it's designed at this time.
Yeah, that is how it's designed right now. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that we want to experiment with basically as well. That's a good question. What did you learn from recent Web3 token drops that you'd like to apply to Pixels? Yeah, so I think there's a couple things. One, if you don't have token utility in the game when you launch it, that's pretty bad, is what we've seen with some of these tokens right now. Some of these people, it's interesting because it's kind of you see this with every new meta that gets attention, right? Like we've been working on this ourselves for a very long time to get to, our token generation event. And this has been our plan for like 2 years now. Some people come in opportunistically, right? And I'm not trying to say anything bad about any team that's come in, but that's reality. Now, a lot of people are trying to get tokens out in the next like month or two, because they see that it just is a good time to do it. And that doesn't mean everybody that launches a token is going to be ready. We've already seen a couple teams that have launched them without them being ready, what that does. And it's interesting because, like, some of the tokens that launched in the last 3 months have done very well, right? Like Big Time is performing really well. Like all the other ones that launched recently, they're doing pretty well. But then there's some that launched recently that just haven't been. And what we see their key issues being are really around token utility. Big Time launched and their game was in a decent enough spot where they had enough token utility, like enough promise of a game. It's great. A couple other projects have launched recently where you see like a high FTV initially and then like loss in faith in the ecosystem. Part of that might be because of a very large use of influencers rather than distributing token to players, basically, and some other use cases like that. But basically, our intention with this token is we want, and why we do like a play to airdrop, and why we're going with this system is like we want to give the token to people who want to be using the token the most, right? That's kind of the whole idea. We want to make sure that the people who like Pixels the most, who are here for what we're building, who actually like the game, who like what we're doing, like that's the kind of person we want to give the token to. And the ideal situation is they even use the token on stuff that we have coming out, like guilds, like pets, realms, all this other stuff, getting more bookmarks, more storage, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing with what we're seeing right now. And then yeah, there are other strategies like listings, making sure that you don't have greedy investors, things like that. That's really important as well. Managing expectations around all that kind of stuff. What's great is we've been in a great position when it comes to bringing on some great people. We'll make some announcements around that kind of stuff soon. But yeah, Pixels is in a very good spot with all this kind of stuff. And yeah, the whole point is we want to reward the most active community members to what we're doing here.
Okay, we already talked about this a bit, but it's not going to be a grind. It's not going to be it won't be insanely casual, but it's not going to be a grind. It's going to be somewhere in between. We don't want you guys just absolutely dying farming scarets like the last time. But we obviously want people that are committed to, playing our game and having fun with us and being a part of our community. So it's going to be somewhere in between. Okay, this is a good question. I think we talked about it last time too. So upcoming chapter 2 stuff. So there will be taxes on land. If the taxes or fee on the land is too high, may I use another spec for farming? So this is like a really interesting concept because there's going to be guilds that set taxes higher and some that set it lower. And it's all about like their own structures and benefits. So it's like, do you want to pay higher taxes to be part of this guild? Or is it not worth it? And then it really comes down to how they're managing their own little ecosystem or government, I guess you could even call it, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Okay. Any questions you want to specifically? Oh, yeah, here. Okay, I just quickly wanted to address this because we've gotten some questions about botting. So we take botting extremely seriously. We have a team, we have a person dedicated to hunting bots. And so we take it extremely seriously. We don't talk about it publicly all the time because we can't really tell the bots what we're looking for, because then they'll just stop doing that thing and start doing another. But know that we are constantly doing bot detection, and we take it very seriously because it doesn't benefit anyone. Like, they're just going to ruin our ecosystem and not play our fun game. Like, we don't want them either, right? So please keep that in mind. Yeah, we're constantly working on it.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about this a lot, right? It's interesting because I would say if a team's not talking about it, you should dig into their numbers more. We have actual data on like our real DAU versus bots. There are some bots in the game, but the stuff that we've been implementing, like reputation, like all this kind of stuff, has actually put a really big dent into them. Our numbers yesterday, it's looking like about 97,000 real unique DAU yesterday. And it was what, like about 115,000 daily active wallets. So yeah,
That's
I mean, there
pretty
are
good.
some bots in there. Some that's multi-counting, some that's the other stuff as well too. But it's getting better. And that's the whole point. So yeah, it's interesting because like some other people like to talk big game about their games and stuff like that. But if they're not giving you those numbers on real versus bot detection, then like assume their numbers are even worse. Because when we weren't doing anything about it, when we were a bit more naive about the problem, bots can very easily become like 70% of a Web3 games user base. Some of the top Web3 games right now, some of them might be about like 95 to 99% bots, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But if you're not doing something about it, especially if incentives baked into the game, it's going to happen. And that's like probably half of like the deep tech that we've been building out over the last year. Basically, systems to help identify these more, getting talent that can help us as well. We have a really good person that's helping us with this, and then yeah, systems to put the prevention in place as well too. And yeah, we have a couple more things coming out as well too. There might be some like cloud and infra things we can put in front of that as well. But yeah, the team does a lot around that. If we didn't have bot prevention detection baked into our systems now, Barry would already be worthless, is what I can say. Yeah, because bots would be farming that in insane quantities. And I mean, yeah, there is some attacks on Barry through that method already. But that's yeah important for us to be on top of for reasons around that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I saw KG tweeted something, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like, Pixels has X amount of users. Let's say only 20% are real. I was like, no, our numbers are so much better than that. I didn't respond though, because I didn't have the data on hand to be like, here it is. But yeah, I was like, no, it's like the opposite. Like, we have pretty good numbers. We take bot detection extremely seriously. So
Yeah, and just note also though, like this isn't just a Web3 problem. This is like every
no,
MMO has this issue, even smurfing
every
and
game.
things like League of Legends and stuff too. It's one of like the big problems in gaming right now. If somebody, I was thinking it's like, oh, if we could generalize this, I don't think we can generalize this, but there's a $1 billion company that exists in bot prevention detection in gaming. I have no idea how you make a company that applies to all of them. You need to do like some crazy counter machine learning and counter artificial intelligence. But whoever makes that one, let me know. Two, yeah, you have a huge company on your hands. If we could get some other solution besides WorldCoin, if we don't have to scan eyeballs, we could get something a bit better than that. That would be great. Otherwise, yeah, Pixel's reputation. It's interesting. I've had people ask us if they can use our reputation system, because what's interesting about Pixels is we have more data on Web3 users than basically any other Web3 game or product out there, and we have a better idea of like who real users are than most other people as well. Where yeah, other people could be wanting that. So it's interesting because we actually might have systems in place for you guys soon, where it's because you've played Pixels, other games might want to give you rewards in the same way that we do that for some NFTs. You know, if we like If you have a Mochaverse, you get like exclusive perks. Like I think people are going to start doing that to people who play Pixels now. If we make these reputation scores public, give us some feedback on if you guys are interested in us doing that or not. If we make them public, there probably will be people who give you rewards for having a good reputation score outside of our ecosystem, and that'd be kind of cool, right? If that's
Really?
what you guys think should be private, that's also like we'll totally respect that. That might be something we need to like sit with you guys on and think about it a bit more. If we made it public, it wouldn't be anything malicious. It would be more just like this is something that we've like learned about these types of users. Like you should hook them up in other games.
Okay. We have like a couple more minutes left. Is there anything specific you wanted to talk about? I feel like there's so much coming. I will say we are working with, should I just say it? Yeah, Unfungible Spaces. We will be doing a series with them starting in January. I'm still figuring out dates and logistics and who, where, what, when, but we're going to be doing a Twitter Space series. So on top of our weekly AMAs, we're also going to be doing Twitter Spaces. So that's going to be really fun. I'm excited for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. See, this is exactly what we mean about bot. We do a lot of bot prevention detection. I saw some lands where people got instant bans. Why is that? And our VIP days are lost.
People were posting this in Discord constantly. So let me be clear. Going to a specific land does not auto ban you. It will never auto ban you. We sometimes see specific lands as targets for bot farms. So if there's suddenly an influx of people coming in being like, my accounts got banned from going to this specific land, doesn't make them look very good.
No. Yeah, so you'll see it in Discord a lot. Just because you have VIP does not mean if you're botting, you won't get banned. If you have VIP and you're botting, you will get banned. And that's kind of the point of it too. And yeah, we're sorry if you get banned and you have VIP and you botted. Well, we're not that sorry, to be honest. It's like a clear rule violation. And that's kind of the point where it's like if you bought in WoW, it's the same exact thing. You have to buy a new copy of the game and you have to get a subscription again. And it makes botting a lot harder in WoW for that reason, or a lot more painful if you get caught. And it's interesting. I was actually there's like this new popular YouTuber who used to do like bot prevention detection at Blizzard. I've been like watching some of his stuff lately, and like going through all of his like old stories about like these players who would like, they were like really active in game, and then they would use bots every now and then, like having like 10-year accounts get banned because they botted, and it sucks. But just like don't do that. So I mean, yeah, it's part of like the privilege of being able to like participate in economy, right? Because we have to protect real users. And this is like the difference between us and on-chain gaming, where on-chain gaming, especially permissionless gaming, making a better bot is kind of the new meta game. Do you know that game? It's like Primordium or something like that. Heidi, have you heard of it?
What did you call it?
Primordium, I think that's what it's called.
No.
They have like a really interesting application of like fully on-chain gaming, what that looks like. And honestly, what on-chain gaming looks like in its full expression is botting. And that might be the better kind of game for this type of person to play. But yeah, this isn't quite us. What we're more experienced, or what we're more interested in, is how can Web3 gaming make games grow better? How can we create new systems of like value distribution? And we want to be on more of that side. Maybe at some point, like Pixels will do a fully on-chain game and we let that cannon go loose. But that's not what we're focusing on right now.
Okay, we are at an hour. I am passing out, so I think we can wrap it up here. Thank you all for your great questions today. And yeah, once again, your patience with server troubles. We're working on it. We're always working on it. Trust me, I pinged our dev team I pinged our head developer being like, hey, so we're working on it. We are. It's something we take very seriously. It's a good problem to have, but it is a problem, right? So anyways, thank you all for being here. We'll see you next week, I guess.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.